Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Lauren, aka BooksMcD. I'm here with my trusty coffee and my Maggie Smith as the Dowager Countess sitting on the Game of Thrones t-shirt. It's a vibe. Anywho, I'm here today to talk about my January-February wrap-up. I don't live in a vacuum, so you're probably going to hear dog noises and people mowing their lawn noises and all kind of things, but it is what it is. So enjoy those background noises. I'm going to do January and February wrap up. I was going to do first quarter wrap up, but I'm long winded. You might have been here before. And I don't think I can squeeze that many books into a short, efficient, concise, succinct, whatever you want to call it, video. This might not even be short. So good luck if you're interested. I did not start out the year strong. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm using the story graph. I want to check my ratings. I want to give you a little blurb about the book, and I don't have all that information off the top of my head. And I, if you can imagine it, do not rehearse these videos. So I will be looking down from time to time just to check what I have on Storygraph. Also, if you haven't checked out Storygraph, you totally should, because they have a lot of fun stats and data visualizations about your reading, which is just really fun. Because I'm a data nerd. Anyway, so I didn't start out the year strong. I started with The Perishing. I love the cover, but somebody gave this to me, and they gave me Rock, Paper, Scissors, which is what, I don't know, kind of got me into starting Book of the Month Club. So I read this finally. I hadn't read it earlier. I read this finally with my virtual book club that I do because I wanted to see why it was rated so low. I kind of thought there's no way. Overall, the score on Storygraph for this book is 2.88. And I was like, there's no way. No book. I've never seen a book rated that low. So I'm just thinking people don't get it. It's, it's something about that. Nope. I rated it a 2.5. Maybe that's a little harsh. I think I went 3 on Goodreads because they don't use half-star system. I did rate it a 2.5. Let me give you a little blurb and then my thoughts. Just spoilers for the video. I can't do this without spoilers. So there's going to be spoilers for these books. Sorry. Okay. A black immortal in 1930s Los Angeles must recover the memory of her past in order to save the world in this extraordinarily affecting novel for readers of N.K. Jemisin and Octavia E. Butler. That sounds like a really good blurb, actually. So I was really looking forward to this. The only thing I realized is right there, it says, they have to discover their memories in order to save the world. I think I know what the save the world part was. But in the end, I just kind of was left with more questions than answers. It jumps back and forth between 1930s Los Angeles, as it said, but then the 2100s. And you get the sense that this is the same person, almost like a reincarnation type of thing is happening. Like they're reborn, they don't always have their memories. They're always black, though. That's key in the book. They're always black. And I get the sense that what the author was going for here was overall a type of metaphor about maybe things never getting better for people in the black community. I like the metaphors. I like the symbolism. I actually really like the writing. The 1930s Los Angeles bits were really, really good. And I almost felt that if it was just a book about that, it would have been amazing. But trying to tie in this sci-fi element and the 22nd century, I think I always do that wrong, but the 2100s, it made it there wasn't enough. And a lot of times when you read an author and you say, okay, I want to read more, I need more, that's usually a good thing. But in this case, I think it was just because there was too much missing to connect the character, same person, character from 1930s Los Angeles to the 2100s. So I think we needed more of the futuristic part to balance it out a little bit. And then at the end, there's also this evil guy. And to me, this is the part that comes in too quickly at the end, because the 1930s Los Angeles part is very good. But at the end, an evil guy comes in trying to steal her powers of immortality, which, again, another metaphor potentially for cultural appropriation and people always taking from the black community and never giving anything back, and taking their power. I don't know, I read it as kind of like a metaphor or an allegory or whatever it is, and I thought that was good. I liked all those bits, but as an actual story, to have an evil character stealing her power, it wasn't explained a lot. I guess I wanted just more of that futuristic part to tie in. I almost feel like I owe this another read. Also, I partially read, partially listened to, and I did not enjoy the voice actor. I did not enjoy the narration of this on audio either. So I think that, when you have a really good narrator, that can really help a book, and that just didn't, it made it less enjoyable. So that's a shame, but I did rate this 2.5 out of 5 stars. The Perishing was the first book I read in January. So the next book I read, I don't normally read a lot of. I wanted to use Book of the Month to start getting into like romance, rom-com type things. I normally wouldn't pick this, not for any reason, just I haven't in the past. So I picked Lunar Love. This was my second read in January, and this was adorable. I read it in like a few days, and I think the trope is called enemies to lovers. So essentially, the character Olivia has a matchmaking business with her family that's like a very old-fashioned style. They use the Chinese zodiac, but they match, pairs of Chinese zodiac that will get together really well, get along really well, and they have like a very traditional way of doing things. And then comes along this guy, I don't even remember his name. He develops an app based off the Chinese zodiac, and it becomes more, she thinks it like gamifies it. So she doesn't really like what he's doing to it. Plus, like, he's stealing their business or whatever. And so they kind of like bump into each other and don't know who each other are. It's a little bit like, reminds me of You've Got Mail, because they bump into each other. They don't know who each other are. They're competition. Then she finds out who he is. Whereas like You've Got Mail, Tom Hanks finds out who Meg Ryan is first. And then she kind of like hams it up a little bit, is a little bit secretive, and tries to do some like reconnaissance. And it's just cute. I think their banter is cute. And then I don't actually want to spoil one part of this book, but there's like a really sad thing that happens too. And I actually cried a little bit, and I was like, oh my God, this book is like super adorable. It was just a really good feel-good book. Even though there was a sad part, I really enjoyed this. I really like the Chinese zodiac aspects, although it's not like super explained a lot, but you can look up information about the Chinese zodiac. I think it's interesting. I thought the story was cute. Definitely worth the read, Lunar Love. I think I gave this one 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5 on Storygraph. The next book I read, guys, I'm so mixed on this one. I don't know if I'll do a separate breakout review of this one, because I want to be even more long-winded than I'm going to be here. But this next book I read, I started mid-December. So I started this book mid-December, and then I reached a point where I like stopped dead, and I just couldn't pick it up anymore. And then I was like, eventually I picked it up because somebody was like, oh, I thought it was good, and so I finished it. And actually, I didn't even rate it that low, apparently. So we'll get into it. The next book I read is The Appeal. This is the third book I read in January, but like technically, like I said, I started it in December, but it took me about a month or so to finish this book. This book is really interesting. It is written in email format. So everything is emails, which, interesting format. 1 murder, 15 suspects. Can you uncover the truth? The Fairway Players, a local theater group, is in the midst of rehearsals when tragedy strikes the family of director Martin Hayward and his wife Helen, the play's star. Their young granddaughter has been diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, and with an experimental treatment costing a tremendous sum, their castmates rally to raise the money to give her a chance at survival. Not everybody is convinced of the experimental treatment's efficacy, etc., etc., etc. There's a lot at play here, and you don't even get to the murder until, 80% of the way through the book. The big story here is the granddaughter has a rare, untreatable type of cancer, and they're trying to raise money for the cancer, and there's like a doctor potentially swindling them. But there's this underlying story, and you don't get one of the main characters' perspectives in the book, and you assume it's because they're the person who's been murdered. So as you're going along, it uncovers this plot of sexual assault and rape, and I don't know if I misread part of it. The trouble with all the emails and missing one person's perspective entirely because you don't have their computer for reasons I cannot remember, you're reading between the lines of all of these emails. People are telling different bits of the story, and you don't have reliable narrators because people are lying to each other. One girl is super awkward and is like latches on to people as friends, and she will defend them to the death until they piss her off, and then she'll throw them under the bus. And so that's awkward because she's definitely not a reliable narrator, but sometimes the summary of what's going on comes from her, and you're like, I have no idea who to trust in this situation as I'm reading it. And because I'm just reading emails and I'm missing a perspective, like so much is between the lines. So there are parts that I may have misinterpreted. The thing is, I think we're getting into a time when people are starting to use sexual assault as a gimmick a little bit. And even though that's not the majority of the story, the fact that there's this underlying story and it's a sexual assault story, it almost feels like gotcha, they're trying to make it a gotcha moment. You know, a similar example, which has just popped in my head, is The Bluest Eye on Netflix. It was a really enjoyable movie until it became about rape and sexual assault, and it felt like a gotcha moment. It felt like a, ha-ha, we're edgy. And I'm like, that's not the way we should be telling these stories. I think we can tell stories about sexual assault victims with respect and a little bit more research and a little bit more care and understanding about what people are going through, and not use it as a gimmick to say, gotcha, now you're uncomfortable. Like, that's not the way these stories should be told, in my opinion. And I think we're like doing a disservice to the subject matter and the topic to be talking about stories that way and using it as like a gotcha moment. Not that this book like did that entirely, but it kind of gave me those vibes. It gave me a little bit of the ick in the middle. And so I just kind of put it down. And then I realized like maybe I misread part of it, but I definitely didn't misread another part of it. And it's that the doctor who's like potentially swindling the people out of their money, her brother was essentially making people in Africa sleep with him for medicine. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm just tired of it becoming a gimmick. I don't want it to become a gimmick. I think there's a better way to tell stories about sexual assault. And so I just, I got a little cringy in the middle here. But I will say overall, minus a part that I might have misinterpreted, essentially, I can't figure out if a rape actually happened or not. But the other thing with the brother, you know, making people sleep with him for medicine, that definitely happened. But there was another part that I think I might have misinterpreted in the emails. And if anybody's read this, I think it's the brother and Sarah is the character whose laptop we don't have. That's who I was thinking that it happened between, but if I'm wrong, I'm totally wrong and I apologize. But it's hard to read these emails. You would think this would go quickly and be light because of that. It goes quickly, but I don't know that it's so light. If you're not paying attention, you will definitely miss details. And part of those details is like, even at the tops of emails, right? Like what time and date are people emailing each other? Like, because I feel like we have to play detective in this. So not as easy as you might expect. So I just want to throw that out there. I did, in the end, give it 4 out of 5 stars. I think what happens at the end, there's a twist with the murderer that I didn't expect. And I thought that made it a little bit better. It kind of like salvaged it in my eyes a little bit. This author, Janice Hallett, does have another book that's similar. Not emails, but I think it might be texts or typewriter type things. I'm not sure, but a very like similar style. I think I might read it. I want to give it a shot. I didn't mind this, but you know, guys, we can't use sexual assault as a gimmick. So just saying. That was the 3rd book I read in January. The 4th book I read in January, I actually don't have a copy of because I audiobooked it. Oh yeah, and these two I just read for leisure. Just for fun. The Perishing was for a book club. The next book is for a book club. So the next book I read is A Slow Fire Burning by Paula Hawkins. In her own words, a slow fire burning starts with a brutal murder on a London canal boat. Laura, a likely suspect, is witnessed leaving the scene, and for a while it looks like a straightforward case. But what I wanted to explore in this book is the way that no tragedy happens in isolation. An accident in childhood can have ramifications a decade later. Trusting the wrong person at the wrong time can derail a life completely. I am interested in the way we become the people we are, how we choose what we hold on to, and how those things can wound us. I don't know about this book. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars on Storygraph and probably Goodreads. I think it was really easy to get through. I basically listened to it on maybe 1.5 or double speed while I was crocheting. So I finished it in a day. So this is a really good, like, if you want to take an audiobook or an ebook on vacation, like a beach read or something, got through it really quickly. So it was good in that way. Like, it's very fast paced, plot point, plot point, plot point. It just keeps going. The thing I don't know that I'm satisfied with is that not typically do I not like a book because all the characters are unlikable, but the problem is I didn't know who to root for. Like, we're supposed to root for Laura. But like, goddamn, she is so unlikable. She's annoying. Laura's so annoying. And I get it. Like, she screws up a lot. You know what I mean? And I think we're supposed to sympathize with her. Empathize? Well, she just screws up a lot. I find her totally obnoxious. I know that we're supposed to root for her, but like no part of me wants to root for her. I don't want her to get arrested either, but at the same time, I'm just like, can this just be solved already? You know what I mean? So that's probably not It's probably not good that like I just wanted to get through it because I needed to get through it for book club. It doesn't mean it wasn't entertaining. Like I wasn't bored the whole time. I was just annoyed, low level annoyed the whole time because of Laura's actions and stupidity, and you know, she just can't think ahead, and she always gets herself into like situations, and I'm just so annoyed. I don't know how to say that any differently. Again, though, here's another book where it's like, let's throw in sexual assault for the sake of throwing in sexual assault. And I'm like, can we not? We don't need to do that to make our book better. And I don't know that it does make your book better because you're not really telling a story about sexual assault, are you? You're throwing it in as a gimmick. And I just don't like that. It's frustrating to me. So it does do that. So be ready for that. Not the focal point of the story, though. So, you know, there are a couple twists in there that I found really fascinating in a I used to study psychology kind of way, and why do people do the things they do? Not that I thought it was unrealistic, but a couple twists at the end. I won't give those away, but you know, very average, quick read that you can get through in a day. If you're listening, do some chores, crochet, do Legos, whatever you want to do. A Slow Fire Burning. That was the 4th book I read, listened to in January. And then only one in February. I think I just visited family visited. I, went on some other adventures, and I just didn't read a lot in February, so I read one book for my virtual book club, and that is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. This book is beautiful. Ocean Vuong has won the MacArthur Genius Grant. He's won the T.S. Eliot Prize. I think this book won the 2019 New England Book Award for Fiction. There's many awards and accolades for Ocean Vuong and even this text. Because he's also a poet and an award-winning poet, you get the sense that each word in this book is selected with care and purpose. But because of that, even though it looks thin, do not be deceived. This book is very dense. I think it's heavy in subject matter because, let me give you the blurb. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous is a letter from a son to his mother who cannot read. Written when the speaker, little dog, is in his late 20s, the letter unearths a family's history that began before he was born, a history whose epicenter is rooted in Vietnam and serves as a doorway into parts of his life his mother has never known, all of it leading to an unforgettable revelation. I think that the subject matter is heavy, and I think that one thing that happens a lot is people think this is a memoir, but this is fiction. This is technically fiction. That's not to say that Ocean Vuong's experiences aren't in the book. I know a lot of authors and writers' experiences are in their works, but this is technically fiction. It might be a compilation of several people's stories, and so it is not a memoir, just to let you guys know, but it is dense and heavy subject matter. The words are definitely selected with care so that they could have symbolism or allegory or metaphor or multiple meanings, or it's just that the writing is more. I'm not sure how to explain it, but the writing is beautiful, but it is super heavy and dense to the point where I would read 10 pages and think, surely I am halfway through the book. And I was not. I had just read 10 pages. So definitely be in the right headspace to start this one, but 100% this is a must read. A 5 out of 5 stars for sure on Goodreads and Storygraph. Must read Ocean Vuong, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful book. Heavy subject matter. That is it. That was all of the books I read in January and February. I'll continue to do these videos. I think I would like to do them every 2 months. So I know I'm kind of way behind, but I was going to do like a first quarter thing. I will hit up March when I do March and April, and then I'll just continue throughout the year doing them. And then at the end, I think I'll pick like, what was my fave book? Oh, let's do that. Of the 2 months, what was my favorite book? Okay, so this is super hard to do. One day I might have to do a video on my personal rating system because I have a personal rating system out of 10 where I use half stars. I think that they don't compare, and that's why it makes it hard to pick. But 100%, I think my 2 favorites, I'm cheating, were On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous and Lunar Love. I think that if you want a fun light read, definitely Lunar Love, 100%, 5 out of 5. If you want to get a little deeper into a story and you want to read some beautiful, gorgeous writing, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous for sure. All right, stay tuned for wrap-ups in the future. I'm BooksMcD on all the socials, so go check out my blog, Coffee, Read, Sleep, Repeat. Go check me out on other socials. Please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment just to say hey. Thanks for tuning in. I have some haul videos, got a readathon coming up, so I will continue to make videos, and thanks for watching. Talk to you later.